Okay then. Part 7. And we're continuing to go through this video, which we were covering in... I was covering, my channel was covering in Part 6. And it's basically, supposedly, evidence of the paranormal. So it's the idea, ghosts, a real ghost caught on tape, explanation mark. So let's give it a whirl and carry on with this from this point.
Okay, I'm sure there's something in this room, Stu. How are you feeling?
I'm actually sweating and out of breath. My heart's jumping out my chest.
What the hell? What's that? Corridor. Come on, Stu. Come on.
Oh, this is that most haunted thing.
I feel a footstep. Hang on, let me rest
Put
it.
that in there. Can you get that there, yeah? Make sure it doesn't fall. I heard footsteps, I'm sure I did.
Come on, if you're here, walk up this corridor. Front of the infrared there, but
Right.
a noise is kind of, I don't know, it's like in the centre, here.
Okay.
Come on, if you're here. If you're here, what's that?
What's that?
There.
Carl, I can see it there.
Go for it, go for it. I'm right behind you,
Look, get your torch. Hello?
They fell upstairs.
Well, at least what they do is kind of the right kind of attitude. I mean, after like over a decade of basically looking around for stuff, like, was it 15 years or so? Whatever. They basically managed to get something, which could have been a member of the crew. But if they go chasing after it, it's unlikely to be a member of the crew. At least that's a bit more compelling. Do we know what it is? Not really.
Who was that?
Come up here quick.
We're going. It was definitely personal, wasn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
Hello?
Okay.
Come on, if you're here.
It's heavily zoomed
If you're
in,
here,
isn't it?
what's that?
That does look like a person going up the
There.
other stairs where it goes down and goes back up.
Okay.
Come on, if you're here. If you're here, what's that?
What's that?
There.
Carl, I can see it there.
Go for it.
I am heading towards the mausoleum area, which is right in front of me somewhere.
Did I have this in the previous video or what? Or is it repeated from earlier? Anyway, on that most haunted thing, you know, the one with the bald guy and the guy with the cameras, Carl Beatty. I think the bald guy's called Stuart. But anyway, they managed to get something on video finally instead of just fucking orbs. Or, oh, is someone throwing stones? Oh, there's a creak. Oh, there's a bang. You know, I always hate that kind of shit with, you know, Vet Fielding and the most haunted kind of jig. But yeah, you know, yeah. But at least with that particular video, they managed to get something there, didn't they? There appeared to be, unclear as it was, evidence that someone was walking up the stairs. That's it. You know, I mean, was it a member of the crew, maybe? Why didn't they find them afterwards? Don't know. Was it heavily planned? Oh, that could be it. Then again, could it be a ghosty? I wouldn't really know. You know, because they see it, they look at it. We don't get to see the passage. It'd be good to go there and see what the place is like. Is there a side door? Like, okay, you can just go straight through a door and you're out of the way, stay out of the way for 30 seconds a minute, then, you know, proceed out of the place or stay there for 10 minutes for all that it matters. There'd be a way of doing that, of course. Do I know they did that? No. Is it plausible? Yeah, from what they've done in the past. There's been a lot of fakery on Most Haunted and other similar shows. Look it up. But yeah, it is interesting. Do I know what it is? No. Kind of falls into the unexplained, but a plausible bit of trickery, to be honest. And that's because I think I'm sticking more to the logic if something looks like a person, it probably is a person. Do I know it's a person as opposed to some kind of incandescent entity? No, but it's likely a person. Looks like a person, yeah. A distance, yeah. In the dark, yeah. And they could probably move out of the way, yeah, possibly. In fact, let's go back. It's basically what they saw. A person going up. So it's actually a way of where they went. So they went up there, a bit further back. Right.
Yeah, what's that? What's that? There. Carl, I can see it now. Go for it, go for it.
If it carries on without a cut, we'll be able to see if there is a door.
Look, get your torch.
So they go down the stairs.
They fell upstairs.
Down the stairs, up the stairs.
Who was that? Get your camera there quick. We're going. Well, it's definitely personal, wasn't
To
it?
be round the corner.
Definitely, yeah. Hello?
Well, that corridor carried on.
Okay.
Tommy.
You open the door, the corridor carries on. Could it be down the corridor? The door is open. So you can basically carry on going along with that being seen on the camera. It is a possible trick, a plausible trick in my opinion, but if you prefer to remain agnostic, we'll just say it's unexplained, you know. But I don't consider it to be great evidence. In fact, why is the best evidence, as in the best movements, and this is the thing you've noticed from my previous videos, why the best movements of supposed ghosts or supposed phenomena of any kind, which is left unexplained, not fully explained, or, you know, even in this kind of category, why is it always at a distance, you know? Or almost always. I mean, I've showed a few videos in the last, video response I made, where it was in fact close up, but it was almost certainly complete bullshit with no backstory or continued video. Oh, there's a person on the bed. Run. And then there's a follow-up, and it's like, oh, there's a person on the bed. Oh, there's a cloth that comes down from by the curtain. Must be a spirit. And it's, you know, that kind of stuff is obvious fakery. This is more like plausible fakery. There you are. You know, there's the walk-in.
What's that? There.
It's a bit like, you know, someone walking slow because they're walking in practically the pitch dark, basically. So you walk in the almost absolute dark, presumably. Although, that being said, most ones have been caught out, you know, with all sorts of fakery before. But yeah, I won't go into that because otherwise I have to explain about how they've claimed to have things in night vision before, but they've actually had it in normal vision, where they've used image effects. But yeah, basically, it looks like a person potentially going up those steps. With that, anyway, let's carry on to that guy with the beard. Is it the same one with the mausoleum or the crypt?
I am heading toward.
Now this, I covered before. I thought it was the same video, actually. He's on about the black thing there.
Oh my god.
And what he does is he moves along a bit.
Then I just
Let him do that, and I'll explain.
Oh my god.
So you can't see anything there. He looks away, looks back. He looks away again in a second, giving room for potentially someone to leave that building.
Oh my
Doesn't look like
god.
there's a lot of room, perhaps beyond the door there. Looks away, looks back.
Oh my god, that was so f***ing spooky. And it's not even there anymore. Of course
Okay, it's
not
a bit
even
of
there
a
anymore.
shorter pause than I remember. 'Cause I thought he was looking away for longer.
I don't know.
So was there enough time for someone or
What I just
something
saw.
to move away?
Frank says that as he
It
approached
looks
the
like there's a black
mausoleum
shape
door,
there.
his
So in
flashlight
that
battery,
case,
which
is it
previously
fakery?
was fully
So I thought
charged,
before, hang on, there's a bit of
suddenly
room
began
there,
to
isn't there?
die. This is what caused the
Flickering
strange
light,
off
that's
and on
irrelevant.
illumination that we see in the
battery's
video.
dying. Although actually, it isn't when you think about it. Because if we assume it's all one chain of video content, then that would be true. If you just simply see the upload, where it seems to be consistent, but the light's gone out pitch black, perfect time for a video cut. And as a result, anytime there is a flicker, you could potentially, you know, start the video afresh, basically, or cut out a bit of content where your mate Bob is moving out of the way.
It's like a black thing.
Black thing. Imagine with this next flicker coming up, if that's a cut.
God.
So there's a flicker in a minute. Flicker? Whatever the fuck that is, like flicker and coloration.
I have no freaking
And
idea what that was.
looks away,
I want to relook.
you know? Just saying it's not impossible to actually have something like that. Supposedly someone behind a tree or something, isn't it? This one. Now, it did look like there was a person moving there. That was quite quick. Let's have a look at this again. Replay, come on. Dramatic music. So it's stolen from the film Science, isn't it? So it looks like there's a shape. It isn't very clear. And enough time for them to move. Unless they leaped. If the person leapt forward, they could, and get out of the way, because you haven't got the real audio, so you can hear a rustle of dirt. But yeah. Then again, you could also edit stuff into it and lower the quality so you can tell how different it is from the original. But it looks like one of those things where you'd expect to go around the corner, go around the side of the tree, and actually see the person who was there. So it's as if, almost as if the person was walking out from where that cross was, you know. It's pretty spooky. I'd put it in the category of unexplained, as I put most things in there. Now this one looks more like an edit, done digitally, as opposed to doing some kind of trickery. It's actually a better sign to have the camera moving, because it's harder to do digital tricks with the camera moving. And artificial movement always looks kind of jerky, because it's electronic anyway, so it's harder to get that done right. So, yeah. That does just like a trick to me. Well, it could be a moving shadow. I mean, there'd be a way of doing that, but it looks like a digital trick, if you ask me. Made to look small, as if it's like a child, perhaps. You know? The thing is, this is all in the dark anyway, so it wouldn't actually be a shadow. Oh, this is another one of these ones where you've got the guy going around with the camera. And, oh, once again, it's got that thing as well. Prophecyfilm.com. At the bottom of the video, so it's a scan or something. Oh, it's this one, which I've gone through before. Sadly, a lot of these videos are repetitive. He looks up there, can't see a fucking thing, and then you see like a shape coming out over here. So watch this area here. You see that shape there, and he moves before you get to see any details. So because we've seen this clip before, I think we will move on a little bit. In fact, we can move on to a video by Chills.
Some people believe that ghosts exist all around us. If you've ever had personal belongings frequently go missing, felt like you were being watched, or have seen something move out of the corner of your eye, then you could have had a paranormal encounter without even realizing it, as these videos...
I won't steal his content. As a matter of fact, I'm just borrowing this content. So some girls there.
The girl closest to the camera notices something in the other room and lets out a frightened whimper.
What? It's okay. I just turned off the lights, that's all.
Nobody else sees it, and they continue eating. Her sister tries to cheer the worried girl up, but she sees something again and starts to cry out of fear. Her mother asks her what's wrong, and all the girl can do is point to the other room. She stands up, no longer able to be near whatever it is that she sees, and then she runs to her mom for protection. Her sister is laughing hysterically at all of this, but then she turns around and sees it for herself.
Turn around, turn around, turn around. But you gotta listen to me. Turn around, look at me. What's the matter?
The thing is with that, I mean, I won't play the entire video. It's one of Chill's videos, so you can go and watch that. He's a big YouTuber, so fuck him. 11 mysterious paranormal events caught on tape. Basically, you don't see anything. You see people reacting. It's creepy, mysterious, right? The girls playing on each other. And, yeah, maybe the overactive imagination of kids make them see something. the girl who's afraid of the dark, the sister who basically, seems to play on the girl, laughing at first, then, because of the fear, she basically reacts in a way which is confusing. And we don't really get a picture or an idea of what the girls, if they saw the same thing or claim to have seen the same thing, actually saw or thought they saw. So that's quite interesting. I'll just skip forward a bit because I don't want to steal all of Chill's content, and I won't play all these clips. This is a poltergeist one. Well, with poltergeists, just to give my opinion, it's easily staged, to be honest. I mean, that's my broad opinion. I'll let anyone who wants to go to this video go to this video, because I can't stop you. But, yeah, let's move on to... That's one with baby arms moving on a doll. Other stuff to do with television. Okay, let's leave this compilation because I don't feel comfortable stealing this person's commentary or content, considering I'm a bit of a critic of Chills and his, the way in which he expresses things with a vaguely non-skeptical view on a lot of things. But maybe I'm just a bit of a cynic. It's debate. Right then, for the remainder of this video, I think I'll move on to ghost pictures. The only reason I went to that Chills video is because it's good for content. He does pick out content even from low viewing or low viewed video creators, whatever you wish to call them, YouTubers, people with practically no views, sometimes 0 views. So I thought I'd just basically throw that in to show that that's the kind of thing that he does. And some of it's good, some of it's bad, but a lot of it's unexplained. He does tend to overemphasize the potential for something, supernatural, but that's what sells. If you're a skeptic, you're unlikely to get as many views as the believer, basically. Anyway, here's a collection of ghost pictures from a channel called The Wonderful World of Weirdness. Ghost Pictures Volume 1. Slow that music because I don't want to be copyrighted. It's one with all these bloody bits of music. There's some kind of apparent ghosty thing there, allegedly. It could just be an explanation for that, if it is in fact a genuine person who's there, is there in the light of the window. The person praying in front of them isn't. They're heavily illuminated, and you could end up with something blown out of proportion because of that. Alternatively, image editing. Even if genuine, I don't think necessarily proves a ghost, but people will look at it and go, it must be something else. The video could also be a long exposure if it's an older. The photo could be a long exposure. Say if it's on film and it's because it's a dark church, they went a bit too far overexposed, and that's why the person appears to be glowing considerably. Just one possibility. It's interesting, but I don't consider it to be very convincing. This one I mentioned before. It just looks like a kid's there. And you get someone who says that there definitely wasn't a kid there. Unless it's something that just looks like a kid. Perhaps under right conditions. I just think that's a kid. Maybe that's just me being cynical. It's like that. That's from a long exposure. Oh my God, it's my brother. No, you moved your face. Hit the button and you moved a little. And you stayed still and you're a bit overexposed. It's a long exposure. And you end up with some kind of manifestation of your face there. So, yeah, I wouldn't call that convincing. Because you're wearing the same clothes, by the looks of. And you've shifted, so he looks slightly taller than you. So it looks almost like he's halfway through you, but standing behind you. But no, I wouldn't say that's convincing. What are these, like, balls or something? Flaring, perhaps? Whatever it is, it's like the image isn't quite clear. There are ways of doing that, I suppose. But say this looks like an old film image, and it might be, it might not be. But it'd be very high ISO, the noise wouldn't be very clear, so whatever that is to the side. Is that meant to be a person with eyes? I don't know. Like eyes, face, what are these things? Not very clear. Not very clear at all. What's meant to be the ghost? Oh, the floating woman. Looks like she's leaning more than anything else. I mean, presumably, it looks like the woman's looking at her, right? There's a woman there, and it looks like she's leaning out, and you can't make out her leg there. So, yeah, that is bizarre. What's that? A ghost of a young boy? You can't make out what it is. Young boy, young girl. I wouldn't wager either way, to be honest. But what do I know, eh? I mean, people say ghost as in, oh, it can't be explained. Who is that? What is that? It looks vaguely like a person, sure. It looks like a kid, potentially. Boy or girl. You can read too much into the image because the details just aren't there. In fact, many of those details you can see, like where the mouth is, it's disjointed. Where the eyes are, one is light, one is dark. The shape of the so-called thing, it becomes a lot less clear. So it's possible it could be something else explainable. But it could just be a kid, to be entirely honest. Even if a person says there was no kid there. Is this the one with the face in the... It is the one with the face in the back. So, yeah, that just looks like it isn't a real face. It's just things shining through. Looks a particular way. And it happens by chance. Like if you've ever gone out walking and, you'll see things like, oh, yeah, that tree looks like it's got a face on it or whatever. You end up with some things like that. Oh, this is a famous one, yeah. Pink Lady of O'Hare House. I've heard of that before. To be honest, it looks like a fake. Taking a picture of a window, the flashing, the flaring can be an issue. More likely to be an actual fake as opposed to a non-intentional error. Numerous non-intentional errors are highly unlikely. Numerous fakes, however, are more likely. And for some ghost hunting groups, that's enough. Like we'll do a few fakes and then, we become popular. Some of these can be long exposures, and you could actually do these with props. A person dressed as the lady with a mask, wig, and cloth, and use long exposure. So the background is, in fact, in focus, but the person is basically able to move. And then, you can use that to say there is a shape there. You'd find that kind of sketching out of the shape anyway, even if you were editing it in. But it's easy enough to do that with props anyway. Suggest someone's there and say it must be proof is one other thing. With this, it looks a bit like that face there could be the side of the seat, because the side of the seat seems to come through. So what it actually is debatable. With this as well, it does look like a guy sitting there, but I don't know. Maybe he is. Then again, it could be... Let's go back to that. See, I thought for a second it could be there's a stick or stand or cross. See that? There's a cross, perhaps. And the man's hat's on it. Sort of thing you'd see, like with old graves in the West. And there's a stone there, because otherwise the body's kind of disjointed a bit, isn't it? Because if that's a stone, that's a cross or some kind of marking of a grave. It looks a bit like a face at this angle. And a hat. That's possible. Someone's going to say, I'm clutching at straws, but just saying it's another possibility. What else? Okay. Oh, that thing over there. Okay, not really great. Yeah, people talk about this one. This one's meant to be a clear one, but I just think it's a person. To be honest, with a lot of these, I just think to myself, show me something paranormal. I haven't seen it yet. Because what I'm seeing is probably just something explainable. That one there, possibly due to a long shutter speed, like a slow, long exposure, I should say. So someone's just jumped in at the last minute. So it doesn't look like flash has been used. They're not very well illuminated, natural lighting. So it's probably that, it's that. See, that one's interesting. It's as if someone's behind him in this probably slightly long exposure. There's probably at least a few seconds on this image, if indeed not more. So everyone's in focus. So you're doing it with a small aperture lens. Effectively taking a picture of these servicemen, I believe. Navy, looks like. If it's captain something or if it might be, I don't know. But whatever the case may be. Person standing there. I don't know if it is her late husband's ghost. Just simply a person standing behind her. And then believed to be that person. Could have been edited in. Seems unlikely, although it is a very high exposed image. So yeah, it's debatable. However, if we go back to that, we'll ignore that one just for a minute. Go back to this one. Yeah, it definitely looks like a person to me, although I'm no expert. But let's go to this one. It's a little ghost face down there, and the girl's crying. So that's pretty disturbing, isn't it? Let's have a look. Yeah, there's a ghost baby, I suppose. You know? What's that? Of an old hag. Ghost of an old hag. It just looks like a person. Are they in a shop? Is that meant to be in the home? That just looks like an obvious, fake one there. Someone wearing, I don't know, this kind of fluff stuff, like cotton wool kind of stuff. Or whatever, I don't know. I mean, it's not very clear, is it? So it's probably bullshit. That one, a faded smudge, could easily be edited in, to be entirely honest. It looks somehow a bit cartoonish and, too clear in some ways. That one, I don't know, could be a bit of glare. Could be a tall person, I suppose. Could just be edited in. Like these are long exposure ones. People forget about this. They're taking a picture of the church. Very dark church. It's actually just like these stairs at Raynham Hall in 1936. But to go back to the church, because this is one of the last images. Long exposure with a small aperture lens, and this is why you end up with a lot of of these issues with lighting in the background, being overexposed in some places. This exposure could have been for minutes, literally. Someone comes in, sits down. Could be a man or a woman, it's not terribly clear, but someone might say, oh, he's got a dog collar on, or oh, it's a monk, or whatever. And they go, oh, someone's taking a picture. Or they get told, hang on, I'm taking a picture here, can you get out of the way for a few minutes? And it's like, yeah, all right, matey-o. And they take the rest of the picture. And obviously, that's the thing with this as well. Long exposure image, someone stops on the stairs just briefly, notices the camera and walks away. And perhaps if they're there for, say if it's a 5-minute exposure, and they're there for like 30 seconds at that point, and the vague traces of them being anywhere else for a split second, would be lost within that period of the image. I think that's near the end. Oh, that's a famous one as well. Once again, long exposure. Yeah, Lord Cambermere, because the funeral was going on for that particular lord. In his study, I think it was. I think it's the study, or no, it's more like the lounge, wasn't it? In any case, the parlour. In the parlour, that's the right word. I think. A long exposure of a image for 8 minutes or something. I think that's the old story. I can't remember without checking out the details online, doing a Google search. But someone may have sat down. It could have been a member of the family, friend of the family, the butler, who sat down for a couple of minutes and went, oh shit, someone's taking a picture. And that's what you get with a lot of these long exposure images. And because you move out of the way and only are basically in the exposure for a split second, or for, well, actually not even a split second, for a moment outside of minutes of taking the image in a relatively dark room, an unilluminated room, you end up with just simply a smudge or smear, or the vague impression of where a person did indeed sit. And so it's not very compelling, actually. Not very compelling at all. And I think a lot of people are compelled by that, though. You get a blur, smudge, whatever the case may be. It's called the best evidence for ghosts. In actuality, it's something which is quite common to photographers. If they, if you do a lot of photography, you do long exposures, you can do a high street and blur people out. It looks like a street full of ghosts. This is common. And, I think a lot of people are just unaware of these things.